My name's John. I'm here to talk about Zen and the art of potty training. It's a big trend in the financial services industry. And I think I can tell what some of you are thinking right now, and the answer is yes. I will be asking for some audience participation later, so get ready. Seriously, I wanted to talk to you about mindfulness. And mindfulness is basically, it's using meditation techniques to focus on the present moment, to boost your awareness of your body, your mind, and your feelings. It's also about using the more reflective part of your brain instead of the more reactive part, which is kind of like that fight or flight mode. And sometimes that leads you to make decisions that don't really reflect your values. You can think of maybe you got into the car with like the nicest person you know, and they start driving and one person does the wrong thing and they turn into, the road rage comes out and they start going nuts, and all of a sudden you're like, that's not the person I know. So it's kind of about bringing calmness to stressful scenarios. So I started dabbling in mindfulness years ago, really, but I really got into it earlier this year when my company, like many other big companies have, started offering mindfulness training to its employees as a way to deal with stress and to improve overall health. A lot of top executives swear by mindfulness. Ray Dalio, who's the head of Bridgewater Associates, the $160 billion hedge fund, he said that transcendental meditation has probably been the biggest reason for his success, which is pretty big. In the case of our company, mindfulness was introduced by a guy named Dean Yates. And Dean's been with the company for more than 20 years now. And over the years, he worked in a bunch of different countries. He was deputy bureau chief in Jerusalem. He was bureau chief in Vietnam. He was bureau chief in Baghdad, Iraq. And he ended up being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder a couple of years ago. And that led him to start using mindfulness training to basically as one of the tools towards his own recovery. And he's now a mental health and well-being advocate at Reuters. And he's invited all the journalists across the company, and there are, I think, more than 2,000 of us, to start using a 10-module online course called Raw Mind Coach to help cope with the pressures of the job and basically to avoid burnout. And there are plenty of other good courses out there, and also a lot of good apps that are freely available in your app store on mindfulness. But this one in particular was tested over a 4-year period with 150 different firefighters in Australia. And at the end, it was shown to improve psychological resilience, which is something that Dean thought we could all use as journalists. So the benefits of mindfulness have been proven out in other studies as well, including one out of Harvard that found it increases gray matter concentration in the areas of the brain involved with learning, emotion regulation, and perspective taking. So I've completed the course, and I found it's definitely helpful in dealing with the stress of deadlines and having to deal with a nonstop, emails, Twitter feed. I have internal messages that go around. I have a Slack group that I'm a part of. I'm constantly getting phone calls. I have to constantly monitor news that's really, just not very good news. It's downright unpleasant. It's also helped my golf game, which is not very good, but I'll tell you it really has. Kind of getting grounded and being able to let go of that, the horrible result of the last, basic shank into the woods, and move on to the next shot and make the next shot count. It's also helped me with parenting. So this is one of my daughters, and when this was taken, we were on vacation, and we'd started toilet training her about maybe a week earlier, and she really didn't want to poop in the toilet. That was the last thing she wanted to do. So since she didn't have a diaper to go in, she just decided that she wasn't going to poop at all. And you can imagine how that worked out. Every half hour, she was running around, in a panic that kind of the dam was going to break. And it was basically kid sitting beside the pool running around, poop hurts, she's waving her arms, and it made me uncomfortable, my wife uncomfortable, it made her uncomfortable, it made everybody sitting poolside very uncomfortable. So I decided to look up mindfulness for toddlers online to see if that existed, and sure enough, it did. So I found something. It wasn't specific to toilet training, but I improvised. So I had her kind of sit on the toilet, and I told her to imagine a balloon. So she did, and she imagined a red balloon. I said, okay, now I want you to take a deep breath, and every deep breath, I want you to imagine that you're filling up that balloon. So, and she did that, and she started relaxing, and I said, now I want you to imagine that that balloon is floating up in the air. It's calm, floating in the wind, it's floating, and she sat there, her eyes are closed, sitting on the toilet, and now I want you to imagine the balloon's floating into a tunnel. Okay? Now there's a train. By the way, she loves trains, she loves tunnels, and she loves balloons. So now there's a train coming in, and it's pushing the balloon through the tunnel. It's going faster and faster, and it's pushing it. It's almost out the tunnel. Here it comes. And by this time, we had our first poop. Literally the first poop, which was for us and our family was a really big thing. And I'm not saying that mindfulness is like, it doesn't work miracles. If it did, I would use it to get my other kid to sleep through the night, which has not yet happened. But it's definitely helpful in many ways. I'd say one of the problems that journalists at Reuters have had after talking to Dean with the mindfulness course is that they can never find time to do it. But I'd say it's just like working out at the gym. You have to kind of make time for it. You're basically working out your mind, trying to become more resilient. You can practice it on a jog. You can practice it walking the dog. That's one of many exercises that you can do, and the more you do these types of exercises, the more in everyday life you can help, or you can deal with these types of things much faster, and it's just, again, it's like training your body, training your mind. Thank you.